What's going on, everyone? It's me, ItsRJTV, and I got my good friend Fun and James with me on the other end here of the phone line. And today we are going to be covering the club improvements that Playdemic just announced 4 days ago at the release of the video, and they are to take effect 2 days from now, but this video will be up for quite a while, so you might be watching it a year later. Real quick, I just want to say, in the news hub of the game, if you click over there, you can find the announcements where it says on Thursday, the 21st of November, we're improving the stats on some of the least used clubs in Golf Clash. This is to give each club an opportunity to shine during the journey from beginner to master. These are the 16 clubs we are adjusting, and real quick, just to go over it real quick, it's the Big Topper, the Rock, the Horizon, the Hammerhead, the Grim Reaper, the Grizzly, the Off-Roader, the Kingfisher, the Falcon, the Firefly, the Boomerang, the Junglist, the Amazon, the Castaway. I feel like I'm not saying this one right because there's no "the" in front of it, but Houdini and the Sahara. What's going on, James? Welcome to the show.
What's up, RJ?
Hey, awesome to have you, man. Before we really get into this, is there anything in particular that you'd like to say in opening? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but we wanted to go off the cuff. We didn't want to be scripted or anything.
I'd just like to say I am so excited for these club improvements. I'm like right up there with OMG. I can't believe they finally did 1/10 of what I wanted them to do. But still, it's a good start.
I hear you, especially with the 1/10 thing, because in my, well, it's not even really an opinion, 80% of the clubs that they improved were epics. And as I just read from the page, the reason why a lot of people aren't using epic clubs is simply because it's so hard to get cards for and thus make them usable. But
yes, and I think if you're a beginner, you're going to love all of it. However, if you have a full set of max clubs, you might not find much use until you create a new account. But then you'll be happily surprised at least twice.
I tend to agree with you. So right off the bat, if you are watching this video and you are in Masters, you can go ahead and click off now. Because, I don't see a single one of these clubs replacing anything on the top end. Maybe, I'm sure there's Masters out there using the Big Topper in some tournaments, or maybe, a couple clubs here and there. But all right, let's delve right in. Let me give you my thoughts real quick on each club, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth if that's okay with you.
That sounds good.
All right, awesome. So we'll start with the very first club on the list, which is the Big Topper. The Big Topper is gaining 10 accuracy and plus 0.4 ball guide, which actually is a pretty decent chunk. Personally, I don't think that 10 accuracy is really going to help all that much. It's nice to see a ball guide on there, but generally, a ball guide improvement, but generally you're going to be you're going to be using this to get a bunch of distance out of. And I know in talking to you before, you actually had a few things to say about that. So what do you think about the Big Topper?
Yeah, I was talking to Captain Obvious earlier, and he agreed that power was the first thing to improve on the Big Topper. And unfortunately, they kind of skipped over that and said, hey, let's make it more accurate than 0. So unfortunately, if in the situations that I like to use the Big Topper, I have this huge fairway in front of me that it doesn't matter if I hit the left side, the middle, or the right side. As long as I stay on fairway, I'll be much, much happier with that extra top spin that I'm going to get with a Power 5 ball. It might have to hop over a sand trap or something, but in general, I can hit between good and good and still get it on the fairway. So this extra accuracy, making it 14 inches closer to the middle of the fairway, is not going to be that exciting to me.
Right. And once again, actually this will be a pretty decent club, minus the fact that it only goes 225 at maximum. But being able to say that you got a big topper with 50 accuracy would be nice, 51 actually. But just to go over the stats real quick with everyone, level 1 and 2, as you can see on your screen, if your screen's big enough, is 0 accuracy, so that'll get a bump to 10. Level 3 and 4 is 15 accuracy, so that'll get a bump up to 25. Level 5 is 24, going to 34, and then as I just stated, 6 and 7 from 41 to 51. And then we have ball guide of 0.04, so that would mean 1.2 to 1.6, 1.9 to 1.3 on level 2 and 3. Level 4, it will go up to 2.6. So you're still not seeing that third bounce. 2.7 is what it is on 5 and 6, which will take it up to just over 3. And then you'll have almost a 4, well, you will actually have 4 ball guide when it's maxed. But I've been playing this game for like 2 years, and I do not have the big topper maxed. Do you? On any of your accounts, do you have the big topper maxed?
I think I have a level 6 on my main. And again, it's not that important to me to see the 3.5 or even 4.0 during a drive that I would bring the big topper to.
Very true. Very true. Would you like to move on just for the sake of time?
Yes. If I could give that one a grade, I'd have to say a D minus.
That's a really good idea. A D minus. Now, are you giving it a D minus as an overall club, or are you giving the D minus as rating the change that they made?
Well, without being too negative, yes, I'm grading the change.
Okay. I'll do the same then. And honestly, yeah, I'm with you on that. Accuracy 10 from accuracy 0, which is where most people have this club. You're just not going to be as far in the grass as you previously were.
Yeah, and let me explain my grading system.
All right.
A would be a very good change to the club that would make me want to go to that club instead of something I'm using now. So the big topper, in my opinion, is not going to change 99 times or out of 100 options that I might consider.
Gotcha. So this is one club that will not be in either mine or James's bag, and I would really love in the comments below if you would let us know if you think we're wrong or if you agree with us. It would just be awesome.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, let me calibrate it one more time. I will use the big topper just as many times as I have used it before, and that's maybe one hole every 4 or 5 tournaments that it really adds something to that specific hole. So it's a very niche club, and it didn't change.
Completely agree, especially if you have the higher level Thor's hammers, which give you an awful lot of top spin as well, but that's for another story. The next one we actually have is a rare club, so it falls in the minority here, is the Rock. The Rock has one improvement to it, and it is plus 5 yards. So I feel like this plus 5 yards makes it so it's not really a clone of the quarterback. But what do you think about this particular upgrade?
I think something totally different. I think that if you have the Rock 8 in your bag and only a Sniper 5, you will switch to the Rock.
Okay, it took me a second, but I'm like, yeah, he's talking about 2 different types of clubs. You still think it's short? I mean, just to give you some, let's see, you said Rock 8. So the Rock 8 is actually going to be 1 yard shy of Thor's Hammer 7, topped out.
I said Sniper, but yes, I do mean the Thor.
Right.
If you have a high-level Rock and a very low-level Thor, there's a good chance that you will find the Rock more usable.
Okay.
Especially the curl. The curl is very nice.
96 at max, starts out at 38. Yeah, level 1, it's really not usable with any top spin or back spin. And this is one of the weaknesses of this club, in my opinion, is the lack of spin. But overall, it was always a pretty decent club, but it seems like that is always the problem. whenever you have a club that doesn't like really shine in like a specific area, and there's something that might do one of the jobs better, especially with the fact that now we have multiple golf bags. I don't see the Rock making it in very many people's bags. And what is it, Tour 5, I believe, when the Rock unlocks, or is it Tour 6? Let's see, 2, 3,
Right.
4. Yeah, Tour 5. So you're already going to have probably what, like at least a level 3 or 4 extra mile at that point in time. So
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the problem. Is your Rock will never grow as fast as your extra mile. So it's not like you can have a Rock 8 and an extra mile 3. That just won't happen. And the same thing goes with quarterback. I believe the quarterback will grow to such a higher level where it will have the backspin that you would even pull it out for, which would be the par 3s, where you want to zero in with the quarterback, whereas the Rock will never have that backspin. It only gets up to 59.
okay, I completely agree with you. I mean, I thought at first that it was a nice upgrade. I mean, only 5 yards is kind of like but then I'm like, wow, it's only a 1 yard difference from Thor's hammer. However, what makes Thor's hammer so great is the abundance of topspin or backspin if you're using it on a shootout hole, and that's something that the Rock is just lacking. And I don't think I'm gonna always follow you, but let's see, we gave the grade of D- to the Big Topper. What do you give the Rock?
Well, because it's going to grow so much slower than the other clubs it's trying to replace, I guess I'm going to have to give it an F, because I just don't ever see me using the Rock.
Wow, an F. That's harsh. Putting you on the spot there. That's harsh. Don't give it an F. No. In all honesty, I would probably give it like a C-. So I think we disagree a little bit on this one. C- being, I'm still most likely not going to be using it very often. But if I compare it to the Big Topper, I think that the Rock has a better a better chance of being used by people on almost like an everyday basis.
But that's only if your extra mile gets stolen.
That's very true. And I don't think that's a part of the game either, is it?
No.
All right. Well, I am going to switch over. That is it for the drivers. We're going to hop on over to the woods. And actually, an epic club, the Horizon, that we unlock it in the very first tour, has received a plus 0.6 ball guide, which is a very big a jump. So what say you? Is this a big advantage for people playing in Tour 1, or do you think, once again, we're looking at low grades? It's got to be better than the beginner.
I love the fact that they helped out the Horizon. But unfortunately, during my conversation with Captain Obvious, he said, that club needs backspin. And we both agreed. So it's unfortunate that it has the best ball guide when you open it up. And then you get the level 2, and then it's an awesome ball guide already. So why are we adding to the best part of this club early on?
Yeah, besides topspin, right? You're absolutely right.
The distance is awesome. The topspin is awesome. The ball guide for the level that you're playing at is awesome. Why on earth do we need more ball guide?
Yeah.
As opposed to backspin, because backspin would make it an awesome club right out of the bag.
Even without the accuracy, let's just say they decided we're going to throw, and this is hypothetical, and I'm really putting you on the spot here, so I'm sorry for this, but what if they took this Horizon, they gave it the 0.6 ball guide, but they also threw 40 backspin on it? What would your take be there? So 40 at level 1, and then all the way up at level 7, you'd have 71, because that's a 30. Could you see this replacing any of your woods, or would that still not be enough? Just trying to get a feeling for like what kind of buff this club would need.
Well, what it would do for me is it would keep me from switching to the big dog anytime soon, because this is your long club. Your Viper is the short club in the early days, and your Horizon is the long club until you get the big dog 2 or 3, where it has enough ball guide to at least see the second bounce. And by then you also have 3 or 4 backspin. So yes, if they gave this club backspin, it would definitely keep you from going to the big dog anytime soon.
Okay. And what about a grade on this particular club?
Just because I appreciate that they did something to it, we'll give it a C plus.
A C plus. Okay. But even though you're giving it a C plus, and again, we're rating the change, not the club itself. So anyone in the comments like, oh, the Horizon's an F because of the accuracy. We're just talking about the change. You're giving it a C plus despite the fact that they only improved the one thing it already had.
The C plus, again, if I give you an A, it means I'm going to change to that club.
Okay.
Well, in this case, it's a C plus because I'm not going to change to the big dog quite as fast. Even without that backspin, I think the better ball guide is going to help me back it up a little bit and get it closer to the hole, as opposed to the big dog, where you're literally guessing after your first bounce.
That is very true, and it does have good distance when you get it leveled up. At least at level 6, it's at 178. So, man, giving this particular club a grade, we're on opposite ends here. Again, we're not trashing Playdemic. We're just giving our awesome. We're giving our awesome opinions. We're giving our authentic opinions of these. And on this particular club, I was going to say F, but I'm going to give it a D minus because, it will have at level 7 a sniper's ball guide. But my God, when it's at level 7, I'm already going to have a sniper. But anyway, let's jump ahead to a club that when I was in the lower tournaments, I thought was going to be one of the best clubs in the game before I learned about the importance of backspin. And that is the Hammerhead, which I think they got it right, actually added 10 backspin to the club. So I'm really curious what you think about the Hammerhead. The one thing I just want to say really quick, though, is I feel like people will use the Viper, and then once they got, if they were lucky enough to get the Hammerhead at level 2, that would be enough to replace the Viper pretty much until you got yourself a sniper at a usable area. Being that it's an epic, you're not going to get very many cards. Now I feel like at level 1, right out the gate, it is a lot more usable. But this is only for the newer users. What do you think?
Right. I totally agree with you on the Hammerhead. I'm used to getting the Hammerhead by the time I've already got a Viper 6 or 7. So there's no reason to switch to the Hammerhead when you have its clone that you're used to playing. But at the same time, with it starting off with a little bit more backspin, it might tempt me, if I don't have a Guardian, to give it a try. If at that time my Hammerhead has more backspin than my Viper.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, it depends on your account and when you get the clubs.
And the fact that it has 45 backspin, even at, I'm looking at top spin, 31 backspin at level 3. I think you're going to have a Guardian. I think you're going to have a pretty high up Guardian just because it's an epic.
So you might find yourself switching back and forth between the Hammerhead and Viper before you get your Guardian 2 or Sniper 6.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We talked about this before, and I think you agreed with me. Most people have 3 or 4 bags, because they're in clans, and with clans you can get multiple bags. And if we only got 1 bag, this can do a lot of good things, but it cannot do anything great, except, until it gets maxed out or whatnot, with a nice ball guide. Not perfect, but perfect accuracy. However, me personally, with where I'm at, I'm bringing a Sniper 10, I'm bringing a Guardian 8, and I'm bringing a maxed out Big Dog or a level 5 Cataclysm or more over the Hammerhead, because each of those are specialty clubs that we could stick in our bag. So once again, sadly, I don't think the Hammerhead makes it into my bag. What about you?
No, I don't think so either, and I'm going to go ahead and do something I don't normally do. I'll tell you that if I had a Sniper 8 and a Hammerhead 7, that the 0.4 ball guide and the Sniper would keep the Sniper in my bag.
The .4 ball guide. So you're saying you would have taken the hammerhead if they would have gave it .4 ball guide.
Well, if it had .4 more ball guide, it would be even with the sniper.
Yes, right. Okay,
So
it's
at
close.
That point with 100% accuracy in the longer distance, it's a no-brainer. But
right.
Without that extra ball guide, I don't see anyone changing.
No, me neither. Like I said, if you're lucky enough to get it very early on when you're in the earlier tours, I think that's really where they're going to see a bump in the usage. So what grade would you give it?
Because it's an epic and it'll never get to 7 before everything else is maxed, I guess I'm going to have to give this one an F+.
An F+, okay. Very high F.
So
59%.
Good try, and they added to the right thing. Unfortunately, though, it's too little too late.
Now, our grades are something that we just kind of come up with in our head, but we're going to have a very big differing opinion on this. I'm going to give this a B. And I'm going with your grading scale, though, so I might be looking at your grading scale a little skewed. But you said A is enough to make you switch it out and put it in your bag. The fact that it's more usable in the earlier levels, but then also the fact that if I just wanted to succeed with this club, I actually could in the higher tour levels. There are better options, and it would be silly for me to do it, but they're taking a very good club that just has no room for, because there's perfect things. You got the backspin of the Guardian, you got the ball guide and accuracy of the sniper, and you got the big dog. Just being that it's an epic. It's almost like
but again, if you're not in a clan and you have only one option, then yes, I would have given it a better grade. But the fact that by the time my hammerhead is usable, I've already maxed out my Guardian, and I've already got a big dog 5 or 6. I don't see changing to this club just because of 10 more backspin.
Yeah, same here. Only the younger users, the younger players of the game. All right, let's switch on over to the long irons, and there are some pretty big changes in the long irons. Let's start with tour number 1, another epic, the Grim Reaper. Now, this is a club that I don't believe I ever unlocked in Tour 1. And by the time I was never, ever a fan, because you have the backbone, which you get in Tour 2, which is very easy to get and very easy to upgrade. However, I know you were actually a fan of the Grim Reaper early on.
Yes.
Before they added 10 yards to it and .4 ball guide. So what's your take on the Grim Reaper?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, the Grim Reaper is the most important club to unlock your first day of Golf Clash. If you get the Grim Reaper and you play those shootout holes in Tour 1, you'll know what I'm talking about, where you've got to have backspin. Distance, no problem. Ball guide, no problem. Accuracy, no problem. Backspin, problem. So I think that this club is the fact that they're adding extra 10 yards and, throwing in some more ball guide to boot, is that actually making you want to keep the Grim Reaper in your bag for a longer period of time, whereas usually the backbone would take it over real quick. But by adding that extra distance, you might be in Tour 3 or 4 before you decide to switch over to another one, because they finally upgraded to level 5 or level 6, which is the downside of the Grim Reaper. It's an epic, and it takes you 2.5 years to get maxed. So based on that, I love the fact that they did this club. They added it exactly where I wanted it with the 10 extra yards. But you don't even use the 10 extra yards when you first need it, which is in Tour 1. But it's just all the better to keep the club in your bag for a longer period of time with those extra yards.
Right. I completely agree with that. It was definitely lacking in the power department, being the least powerful club, and it actually jumped up to right around the middle of the pack. It starts out at 115 and maxes out at 116. So power was never something that this was supposed to have. And getting it up to 125 right out of the box is a huge difference for a level 1 club. But also, as you could see on your screen for those watching, the top spin was always very low. 0 at level 1 and 28 at level 7. While that's not changing, distance will definitely help there.
Right. Yeah, and the topspin has never been important to me in the long irons. It's always been backspin. But you do have to have enough distance to get there. So if you get stuck with a Grim Reaper in your bag before clans, you'd be in big trouble on any tour higher than 1 or 2. But now, again, you can just ride it on and not have to worry about swapping over to another club so quickly. You might even get to keep the Grim Reaper until you open up the Saturn, if this is the type of club you like to use to backspin, or with backspin.
Right. Yeah, it could now reach areas that it couldn't reach before. And one thing with short clubs is it gives you that bigger area in between clubs. So that might be a reason that a lot of people stayed away from the Grim Reaper as well when they got a little more knowledge of the game later on. So is this something you see replacing any other club in the bag, or no?
Well, again, if I'm a beginner and I put the Grim Reaper in, the change I'm going to make is I'm going to keep it in. So I'm going to give this one, this change is an A+. I think it really will improve my game.
Okay. Well, in fairness, I am going to not grade it or just say I trust my friend James because I've never really used the Grim Reaper. The backbone was just so much better, so I just feel like I would be throwing a letter out there just for the sake of doing it. But I do agree with all your points. On paper, it looks like it went from a non-usable club to an actual usable club.
Well, let me question your grade.
Sure.
I want you to grade it based on, will this extra 10 yards make you, in a lower tour situation, give it a try?
Absolutely. If I decide to start like another rookie account, start from scratch or something, another thing it depends is how early am I going to get it, because it's an epic. Technically, you could be in Tour 7 and still not have it unlocked, even though it opens up. It's rare, but there was everyone always has those 1 or 2 epics that they just could never get open. So I'm really looking at it at level 1 or level 2. And, while 0 topspin, like you say, you don't really look for topspin, but it's one of those things that is nice to have just in case, like maybe there's a headwind and you need to kind of jump over an area with compressed ball guide and all. But, I think I would. I think the fact that it puts it in the middle of the pack and backspin is a wonderful thing. Although the backspin is not great, it is pretty good for beginner level people, people who aren't going to be dunking and
right. Yeah, compared to other clubs that you will open up early, 40 backspin is huge.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Grizzly, which actually has me a little confused. Maybe you heard something on this. They have Grizzly at max level, so I'm assuming they're keeping all the Grizzlies the same. What is the Grizzly? I believe is a rare club. I don't think it was an epic. Yeah. Okay, great. But yeah, it says at max level it gets plus 10 accuracy, plus 28 topspin, plus 9 backspin, plus 38 curl, and plus 0.8 ball guide. So this really got a huge makeover, but is it only for those who have it maxed? And if it is, I'm not that mad because it's not an epic. So it's actually something you could get maxed, but this is not good news for the beginner players.
Right. Yeah. As of now, it will have no effect on anybody until you max it at level 8. But once you maxed at level 8, you'll have 136 on distance, which is awesome. Let's see, the plus 28 on topspin will just make it 40-ish. The 9 backspin will put it in the 60s. That's nice. 100% curl almost. No, it'll be 100% curl. So you'll have to be taking off curl if you're the type of person that would curl with a short iron. And then the 0.8 ball guide will put it right up there at 4.4. So it's going to have an awesome ball guide, but it still won't have that 100% accuracy.
Yeah, no, it will. It has 90 right now, and it says it's receiving plus
Oh, I'm
10
sorry.
accuracy.
I'm sorry. It is adding 10.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's a baby sniper.
Right. So unfortunately for me though, the two clubs that I have in my bag are the Saturn for backspin, and it's not going to have enough backspin, and the B-52. It does have just about the same accuracy, but it's not as much distance.
Yeah,
So I might just keep the B-52 instead of switching to the Grizzly.
and a lot of people who don't have the B-52 will have the Goliath in place of the B-52,
Right.
just to get some more distance. And I know the B-52 at, like, I think I have it at level 4, struggles with top spin. I do see...
And accuracy all the way through max.
Right. Yeah, so, and this only has 18 top spin, the Grizzly, which will be bumped up 28 plus 18. What is that? I think that's like 50. Yeah, so it'll go up to 50 tops.
46. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. What am I thinking? That's
Wait,
yeah.
let's see,
I don't know how to
38.
math.
Yeah, 46.
46. Okay, so 46 compared to the top spin. I don't know how high the B-52 gets, but I know you're right around the 60s at a maxed out Goliath. But obviously, you're getting a lot better accuracy and also a lot better ball guide. But
but again, it doesn't happen until it's maxed. So
well, here
you might have a B-52 5 by then.
Let me throw a curveball at you, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for woods, we're going to carry in our bags, we agree on this, a sniper, a guardian, and a big dog or a cataclysm. Why not in a third bag? You got your backspin club, you got your power club. Why not use this as kind of like a sniper club for short irons, or long irons, I'm sorry.
Well, I think if I put the Grizzly in my bag, which bag it would go in would probably be the cat bag, as well as the I'm trying to think of what else it'd be in my long bag, I believe.
Okay.
As opposed to my short bag with backspin, which would be the Saturn.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so it would either be my second long bag, or even if it's going to replace something, I think it would replace my long club. But it's not quite as long as the B-52, if I'm right.
Right.
Or the other one, the Goliath.
Other one, the Goliath. Yeah. They're both rares. The Goliath is rare and the Grizzly's rare, but you do get the Goliath sooner. Overall, what type of grade would you give the Grizzly?
Because of not knowing what we're going to do until we actually see it up against our other clubs, based on our level of club, I'll have to say I'll consider it with a C.
A C. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to just keep giving back bad grades, because I feel like, I'm just going to look like some snooty person or whatever. It's not a bad thing of what they did with this club, but none of these clubs that we've covered so far has made it to where it'll replace one of the staples in the game. And I don't know, maybe that's not what they were looking to do. Maybe they just wanted to get its usage up. But being that it only gets the bump at max, and the fact that it does get that bump at max, but yet still won't replace the other clubs that I have, I'll give it a C minus.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say they're trying to get us to use these clubs earlier in the game.
Right, except this one.
As opposed to, except this one. As opposed to making you change from your other max clubs. I really feel like they're trying to give you the opportunity to use these clubs sooner, and not change so fast to the other club, or not even consider the other club, because they're getting a little bit better. So everyone's going to have their favorite club. For instance, the Grim Reaper. You have 3 people out of 100 that swear by the Grim Reaper, and then the other 97 are sitting there with the backbone or something like that, going, I don't know what you're doing, but we like the backspin.
So it should no longer have a problem with usage, because they show these little charts. Now
there will be 10 or 20 people per 100 that are using the Grim Reaper.
Well, that's actually a decent amount, 10 to 20%. Well, now we go into short irons, and we got a very controversial club. This is a club I often make fun of in my streams whenever I open up them pin chests, hoping for an APOC, and end up with a Kingfisher, there's always 2 or 3 people in the chat that defend the Kingfisher. So before getting into it, this is another one with multiple areas that they improve. They gave it 5 more yards, 15 more topspin, which in my opinion actually helps with the 5 yards, and 10 backspin. How do you feel about the Kingfisher?
Well, people who use the Kingfisher usually don't have many options. And the fact that they've improved it will make you feel better about it. But as soon as you get the Thorn up to 3 or 4, you'll definitely swap over. And then when you get the Hornet up to 3 or 4, it'll put the Kingfisher right back in its place, because the Kingfisher is an epic card, and it's not going to upgrade. Even after you get the Hornet 8, you're still going to have a Kingfisher 2 or 3. So I think it'll be nice early on in Tour 2 and Tour 3, but by the time you're up to Tour 5 and Tour 6, you'll have moved on.
Okay. So with the beginning numbers being power 75, accuracy 65 to 69 for level 1 and 2, 0 top spin all the way up to 4, 40 back spin from beginning to 3. I'm not going to really go into curl that much because we are talking about a short iron, and a ball guide between 2.3 and let's just say 3.4 going up into 8. With these additions, I don't think this would really compete so much against the Thorn, but do you think it could replace very low level Thorns, or I'm sorry, Hornets, or very high level Hornets at 7 when it's maxed? I don't know if you have the information in front of you.
Well, I'll just reiterate what I said, that you're stuck with the Kingfisher with better stats now, and you may not change to the Thorn or the Hornet as soon, but I still don't see you not changing.
Okay.
As soon as you can get the stats better.
Gotcha. So even beginning end, it's going to be replaced, and it's going to be replaced rather soon, because I think when you're playing Tour 7, you generally have at least the Thorn.
Right.
All right. And what would you give this as far as a grade?
Again, because it will have an effect on me, because I don't have the clubs I want yet. I don't think it's going to change the fact that I'm going to use it as opposed to another club, but it will delay it a little bit more. So we'll give it a D+.
A D+?
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to cop out, because I just said the last time I didn't use a club, and here's another club I never used, once again, because it's epic. You know, it's like I just kind of like putted around a little bit with an Apache or a Runner or whatever, like you said, until I got the Thorn and the Hornet, and then I just never looked back. It was something I just always kept in the bag. I think the fact that it's epic is what really hurts it. I think that this should be a common club or a rare club, but to address 3 different things that this could all use, I'm going to give it and give the upgrade an A for effort, but we're not doing that. So you get a C on your final grade. Average based on the fact that, you know, I think it's better than some other clubs. It's kind of like better than the Horizon getting just a ball guide. But that's where I'm at with that.
Yes, I agree with the A for effort, because they did do a lot to it, but at the same time, they did not replace the Thorn or the Hornet at all.
Right. And that takes us to the final of the irons period, short iron, the Falcon, which does not unlock until Tour 7. Once again is an epic, but it gets 5 accuracy and 0.3 ball guide. How do you feel about this club?
Well, I'd like to say it takes forever to upgrade, it takes forever to get, and it will still never have the Thorn backspin, and it will still never have the Hornet accuracy, if I'm correct.
Yes, you are.
You know, it's going to get up. It's going to get up to 80 at max. That means someday in the long, far off future, it will still have less accuracy than your Hornet.
Yeah.
So I'm not too excited about this one. There's not much they could have done to it to make me ever want to use it.
In some instances here, I mean, I know they're kind of redoing some of these, giving them a makeover, but I feel at some point it's better just to trash it and come up with another club altogether. That could compete. Like, I wouldn't come out with the sniper, and in your words, I wouldn't come out with the guardian of short irons to just blow everything else away, because it might just make the game a little bit too easy.
In this case, you'd say a tsunami of short irons.
Yes, right, exactly. Although, once again, that's an epic club with like 0 ball guide until you get
right.
a couple upgrades to it. But
it's so fun to play with.
Yes, it is.
With that 100 backspin.
And the thing of it is, with the Falcon, it's not a game changer like the Apocalypse. The Apocalypse is an epic club that you unlock in Tour 7 and just takes forever to get, but it's so worth it. And the Falcon, you can't sing the same praises of the Falcon. There's just better clubs that A, aren't epic, and B, that unlock in sooner tours. I feel like the Falcon would be a lot more viable if it was unlocked in one of the first 3 tours, and if it was, let's just say, rare. But
I'll give you an example of what you're saying.
Okay.
When you get the Falcon to level 5, you don't make a video about it and post it on Facebook, but if you get the Apocalypse 5, you're singing Hallelujah
who did that?
On the stream, and you're bragging about it. You're calling your aunt Sally and telling her all about it, and she's like, is that foosball game you play? So the difference is definitely there, that there's no excitement in this club getting to level 5.
Completely agree. And once again, if Playdemic, being they, were to do something, and I'm not a game maker, so in no way am I slamming them. I happen to really like Playdemic. I've been playing the game for years, much like yourself. But I don't think that the Falcon is an epic card. I think that clubs like the Thorn and the Hornet would be something that people would really strive for. Like, I need to get that Hornet, or I need to get that, that Thorn.
One more card!
Right, exactly. The Falcon just isn't it. And I'm going to jump ahead of you. And for this reason, and the fact that it's a Tour 7 club, I got to give it an F. What about you?
Yes. I give it the same F. Not an F minus, but just an F.
Okay.
Good try, guys. But the fact that by the time I get that to a level 7, my children may be retiring. So
I know that feeling all too well. Now here comes another club, though. We're now moving to Wedges, that I've heard you make fun of before in the name, the Boomerang, saying if I hit the ball, the last thing I want it to do is come back to me. So
come back at me.
I think we did something together before. I don't know if it was a live stream or something, talking about rating of clubs, and this was probably like one of the worst ones. But they just added 45 accuracy, which is a huge number, 20 top spin, and they even threw in 0.3 ball guide on this, once again, epic club. How do you feel about it?
Well, before I give you a rating, I just want to let people at Playdemic know that there's a typo in their club improvements page.
Uh-oh.
They say it has less than an 8% pick rate. They forgot the decimal. It's 0.8%. and only then it's a mistake. Their cat's playing their game, or their 3-year-old son gets a hold of their phone and puts the boomerang in the bag. I don't understand how it could be that high. It's got to be a 0.8.
Well, it says peak use is in Tour 5, and at its peak use, it has less than 8%. So it could be 0.8, yes. But by saying less than, they're still technically right by saying that. But
okay, good point. When it's at its peak use, it's less than 8%.
Peak use, yes. It's probably, you're probably right, though. It's probably less than 0.8.
Yeah, so there's lots of kindergarten classes using this app on level 5, I guess, because I don't see anyone else that would use it.
So it definitely got a huge buff. And for those of you out there that don't know what a buff is, it definitely got a big boost What do you think about the boost? What do you think about where they applied it, how much they applied, and where it will be going forward?
Okay, well, to go from 0 to 45% accuracy to me is like taking the blindfold off the blind man. I think I'd like to have used that one earlier, but oh well. That's where I'm going to
You
use
missed
that
it. No.
Yes. Let's see what else we have here. The top spin 20 from 10 to 30 is not a big deal, and the .3 ball guide. Now you can actually see the second bounce. So congratulations there. I can actually put the ball guide on the edge of the green. So all I have to do is figure out the next 10 yards instead of the last 20 yards of my shot. So nice try, guys. I just don't think it's going to make me want to try to use it.
So despite, yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, there's really nothing I have to throw in there to try to make a conversation of this. From 0 to 45 in the accuracy department of a wedge, it's like it would have to really be a lot closer to a club we're going to be talking about next, the Firefly. Mm-hmm. And I don't see, even with these huge improvements, I don't know. Let's see. The boomerang is unlocked after the Firefly. So it's the Dart in Tour 1, the Firefly in Tour 2, and the boomerang in Tour 3. Right. So they basically took an unusable club and made it slightly less unusable, but it's still unusable. Not unusable, but not preferred in any way.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, you're not going to choose this club over clubs you already have. Even when it opens up, yeah, even a Dart 5 would still be a better club in my opinion.
Completely agree. But you know what? I got to say, I am super excited to talk about the next club because
let's give the boomerang its
that's
grade.
That's right. Okay,
F.
Go ahead. F. Yeah, I agree. F. But in fairness, no, you know what? Yes, it gets an F, but it got an F minus, so there is an improvement there.
Yes, it did improve.
However, we come to arguably the best wedge in the game, minus the Endbringer and Rapier, which is the Firefly. So they actually took an awesome club that I would think it's lots of use. Aside from the fact it's very hard to get, the Firefly, fun fact, is one of the very last epics I ever got. So, you know, I went pretty much from Dart to Skewer to Endbringer, or not Endbringer, but Rapier. And it is an epic club, but it does unlock in Tour 3. It's getting a boost of 9 accuracy and 10 backspin. What are your feelings on the Firefly?
Well, before I tell you how I feel about it, my first account I probably had for over 9 months before I got the Firefly. And I was so jealous of those other people in Tour 3 and Tour 4 and Tour 5 that had this red ball guide that they just aimed at the hole and then they went swish and then moved their club back off the green, and the ball guide was still touching the hole. And I'm sitting there with my Dart 7 or my Skewer 4, so jealous of that person. But then after I got it, man, I would not have ever changed had I not realized, you know, until I got the Rapier level 4, level 5, or the Endbringer. I thought the Firefly was the best wedge in the game until those got high enough to finally surpass it. So, yes, I love the club. Took forever to get it the first time, but if you're lucky on your account and get that club, you probably won't be changing it anytime soon. And with adding that backspin, that makes it at level 1 a much better club, because at level 1 you're really struggling with the backspin. And the accuracy, if you hit it perfect, it goes in the hole. If you don't hit it perfect, it doesn't. And that doesn't really change until you get a high-end Endbringer with 100% accuracy.
Right.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, that's very well said. I feel the same way. We both got the club very, very late. I think the Apocalypse might have been, maybe Apocalypse and Thor might have been the only two that I got afterward. And again, that's this epic thing. But at the same time, I kind of feel like the Firefly has all the right stuff to be an epic.
Hmm.
You know, but no, actually, I'm going to retract that and say because the rapier is so good, maybe the last two should have been. And then I would see people unlocking the Firefly on Tour 3 and using it all the way up until they got the rapier or Endbringer, which is really just kind of, whatever your
Right.
flavor is, what you like out of your
Well,
wedge.
the reason you switched to the rapier is because the Firefly doesn't get that 100 topspin until level 5. Once your kids are in college, it takes so long to get that. But
Yes, it does.
but in the lower tours, or Tour 2 and Tour 3, when you don't really have any good clubs, the Firefly it changes your game. It makes every chip go in
I,
if you hit perfect.
I completely agree, but now I need to remind you of something. We are rating the changes, not the
Hmm.
club. So it was already a great club to begin with. It got 9 accuracy, 10 backspin. What do you give it as far as the upgrade on the Firefly? We already know it's a great club.
Right. Well, as far as it changing my opinion or keeping it in the bag longer, I'll give it a B plus, because if they had added topspin, I would keep that in my bag a lot longer than I would have until the rapier gets high enough with the Imbringer. So let's just give it a B, because it with that 10 extra backspin, it makes it so much better in the beginning, but it might not change so much because of the topspin when I change away from it.
I think a B is a pretty high grade. I don't disagree with it. I'm going to go with a C. I think that,
Hmm.
the added accuracy, I don't want to say it's not enough because had they left this club alone, it would still get use for those people who are getting it.
Hmm.
I think that, if they would have added 20 accuracy instead of 9, it would have been like a big time game changer. But just based on that and the backspin, I mean, for your wedge shot, you can go infinitely back. You can hit it 1 inch in the air and just put on all the top spin that you need. So backspin isn't something that is really needed unless you want to dunk
Right.
your shots, and I don't see this as one that you're dunking. I think we talked about the trajectory of this club earlier, anyway.
Yes,
So
it's very low, and it's not a very good dunking club unless you put it all the way behind the hole.
right, and for that reason, I'm giving it a C. It's nice to see a club that does get use, get a bit of a buff, but I don't know. I don't know if those are the parts that I would apply it to. The backspin definitely, but if I could add that 9 somewhere else, um,
You would have put it on top spin, period.
yeah, I probably would have. I mean, obviously you can't go above 100, but yeah, that would have been nice. I don't know where I would have put it. Accuracy is probably the right spot for it, but it probably could have just used the backspin alone. We are done with the wedges, and we are going to the mistake clubs. We have the Junglist, which I'm pulling up right now on the one side of the page. The Junglist is something that opens up in Tour 2, so you can potentially get it early. However, once again, it is an epic, so you might not get it for a while. It is gaining 10 accuracy, 35 topspin. That's huge.
That's huge.
And, actually 0.6 ball guide is pretty huge as well. If you get a
Yes.
0.6 in between upgrades, you're very happy with that. So, a Junglist is a club, once again, that I really just never used. I used my rough cutter until I got, like an off-road or a razor. I think the razor is the
Hmm.
the big dog down there, and not big dog in terms of power, but, like the one that a lot of people use till they get the Nirvana. How do you feel about the Junglist both before and after?
Well, if you have the Junglist, you probably don't have the off-roader yet. And of the top shelf tours 1, 2, and 3 clubs, I would have to say it's already the best of the worst clubs to have. And the fact that they're adding the top spin makes it, it's nice that they did that. The ball guide, it's nice that now you can see the second bounce, but it has absolutely no effect on when I'm going to change from that club. As soon as I get the off-roader, the Junglist comes out of the bag. Period. End of story. And it's all about distance with your rough iron in the beginning. You want it to go as far as possible because you don't want to not be able to reach the green. So it didn't really change that. Now, the extra topspin helps, but it doesn't solve your problem that the off-roader as well as Nirvana and Amazon fix, getting to the green.
And I like the fact that with the top spin, which is a lot, they also added a lot of ball guide. So maybe with, if you get a high enough level Junglist, you'll actually have that flat ball guide that you get that we were talking about with the Firefly, right, that'll go right to the hole. But I'm actually looking at it, and it's 3.1. Yeah, 1 point. Yeah, that's true. 2 isn't really going to give it to you. I was never really a fan of the Junglist. Again, I mentioned that. Again, it's an epic club, and I don't know why it's epic. What is epic about this club aside from hard to get cards? And when you do get the cards, you're like, oh man, I got a Junglist. So yes, right, it's a huge buff, but I still don't see myself ever putting this in the bag, personally.
Well, yeah, to me, it's the guy with less than 500 games. It does help adding that top spin, get a little closer to the hole. And let's say you just missed the green, that extra 0.6 ball guide, you now have a much better chance of getting it in the hole because you can see the second bounce. But again, it's not going to change when I get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of it as soon as I get the off-roader.
Well, speaking of off-roader, that is the one that we have coming up next. So what is your final verdict on the Junglist?
The Junglist, because it doesn't change anything, it's an A for effort, but it's still an F because it does not change when I change out.
And, God, Playdemic's going to hate me. It's going to hate us, but I agree. I'm just not excited about this. I'm super excited about the update, and I hope we're wrong and we're eating our words, but I just don't see it on paper that, this is going to change much. I do like that it's the second wedge that you get, so I'll give it a D because we get it early, but it was definitely an F before.
Yeah, well, yeah. Understand, my grades are based on what will it make me do different.
Right.
A is I'm going to swap over to it now and never go away from it, and F is I would never consider it.
Well, and that's why I'm giving it a D, because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the newer players, and someone with a low-level rough cutter that got the Junglist might be, more inclined, or someone who's using the machete might decide to go with the Junglist at those earlier levels. But yeah, I mean, having the plus 10, plus 35, and plus 6 added to a level 7 Junglist when you already have basically every other club maxed out,
right,
is not appealing, right? So that takes us to the club that you said you're going to use before that, or you're going to be using it by the time you get it, or however you worded it. I'm sorry.
Yes.
The off-roader.
As soon as you get the off-roader, the 1 through 4 clubs are no longer used. The off-roader replaces all of them. Now, I understand that the machete, once it gets high enough, it has all that backspin. There's 1 or 2 holes it works great with, but you're going to want to keep in your main bag the off-roader.
Now,
and what they did is they added more backspin and a little more ball guide, but it was already a decent club.
Both of what they added to is very minute. I mean, 5 backspin is not something that most people would notice. What is there, 7 bars of if there's 100, so 5 would be like not even half a bar, and then 0.2 ball guide. No one's going to complain about gaining ball guide. No one's going to complain about backspin, but how do you feel about the fact that they buffed an already good club?
Yeah, the ball guide was already 2.7. When you get the off-roader, it's now the best ball guide in your rough iron bag. So by adding 0.2 to it, you're not going to see a lot of difference, but you already see such a huge difference with it being 2.7. Now it's 2.9 at the very beginning. It's just going to make you the decision is so much easier once you get the off-roader to go ahead and swap to it. Will it make you want to keep it? If you like an accurate club, you're not going to go for the off-roader. You're going to switch to the Razor as soon as it gets to level 2 or level 3. And if you want a longer club, you're going to switch to the Amazon or the Nirvana as soon as you get them. Nirvana 1, I don't know how it's going to be now with the off-roader being a little bit better, but generally you would switch immediately to the Amazon or the Nirvana 1.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that affects it.
I know personally I went straight from the Razor. I felt like I struggled mightily until I got the Razor. Then I finally got a club that I wanted to have in my bag, and I went straight from the Razor to the Nirvana.
Right.
But, you know, I've heard a lot of good things about the off-roader. Once again, I'm not a fan of it being an epic club because I feel like you could actually flip-flop, in my opinion, the off-roader and the Razor because of how popular the Razor is. I don't know if it's only popular because it's common, because I know it doesn't have the distance of a Nirvana, but, you know, the accuracy is just amazing. You get a lot of chip-ins with it, and, you know...
It's what I would call the short bag club. The Razor, 100% accuracy, great ball guide. It's your short bag club. Your long bag club, when you're caught off, you know, if you miss the fairway, to be able to get to the hole. Usually, if you have the off-roader, you do not have the Nirvana or Amazon yet. So that's what you would keep in your long bag until you get one of those two clubs.
So, an odd question here, but I think it makes sense. It's kind of unfair for the comparison, but I know you just said they were two different clubs because you have your short bag and your long bag, but just for your everyday bag, just for like your most use bag, between a Razor and an off-roader, which do you think is the better club?
I think the Razor is because it helps your short game so much more.
Right.
As opposed to your long game, just try to stay on the fairway.
I completely agree, and that's why I say, you know, I might be like, oh yes, a Razor club if it was epic, and the off-roader would just kind of be like, you know, it's a great club to have, you know, with everything that precedes it, but I just feel like it's one more step. Like when you're walking up a flight of stairs, you don't want to stop on the third step and hang out there when there's 5 steps. You want to keep going.
Right.
And for that reason, I don't think it's going to be used very much. And I think that they did improve the club anytime. I mean, you could have put 1 backspin and 0.1 ball guide, and it would be an improvement. And I don't think it would be much an improvement over what they did add. So what grade do you give it?
I mean, I'll give it a C, because the fact that the off-roader is now going to have a little bit better ball guide, I may wait one more upgrade on the Razor if I'm going to switch between the two. Or before I put the Razor in my short bag and just leave the off-roader in my long bag until I get a better club.
Okay.
So we'll give it a C.
Now I'm the one being Scrooge here, and I'm going to give it the D. I just don't feel that the 0.2 ball guide and the 5 backspin is nearly enough to replace anything. You were going to go to the off-roader with or without these changes. But it is kind of neat to see them do it to the off-roader, which is a very viable club in early tournaments. But yeah, as soon as you unlock the Razor, you're going to be getting cards like crazy for that. And that takes us to the final tall grass club, the Amazon, which is an absolutely amazing club with 135 power, 135 yards, and starts at 121. In a lot of cases, it's going to be more powerful than your Nirvana up to a certain point. But it was never
until you max the Nirvana.
Right,
exactly.
Right. But it was never a very accurate club. And actually, I think this was the one you wanted to use your line on, if I remember correctly.
Possibly.
You are getting +5 accuracy on the Amazon, and that is the only upgrade to it. What say you?
Yes, since I wrote it down, let me just read it to you. Let's face it, adding 5 accuracy with a 1.0 ball guide is like removing the blindfold from a blind man. It has very little effect. So you might as well go for the dunk.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And when you say go for the dunk, that yellow middle bullseye is going to be like 50 times bigger than the hole. So
Yes.
good luck with that. The Amazon is definitely a niche club. It's very usable higher up, like maybe an expert or even in pro tournament play, because there are times that you may have a skinny fairway and your normal rough irons, maybe your Nirvana even, won't reach, but the Amazon will. Again, I'm not talking a max Nirvana, but there is a place for this club, but it's very niche or niche or whatever it was we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, this is your par 5 long club bag. After you get this club, it replaces the off-roader, and then it stays there until your Nirvana gets to at least level 6 or level 7 to have you a long club. But it's very scary to use. If you have to use it twice in the same hole, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And 5 accuracy, I again, I kind of mentioned this with the off-roader with the 5 backspin and the .2 ball guide, and you reiterated on it with the blind man and the blindfold. Going from 20 to 25 is not really going to help much. And by the time you get, with the ball guides, even at max, the ball guide is 2.5. Max Epic Club 2.5. I'm still not interested in that. 2.5. I mean, it's realistic, Not many people chip in from the rough when you watch golf or, whatever it is, but you have unrealistic clubs in there like the Nirvana. And by the way, the Nirvana is not an Epic club, so you'll definitely get that maxed out before the Amazon, which, again, all the Epics that you get later in the tours, you'll definitely get gray hairs waiting for them. I got to say, the +5 accuracy, it feels like Playdemic just wanted to make a nice grid of 4x4 clubs that they were upgrading, and they threw this one in. I'm not impressed with the 5 accuracy, but I'll let you give the grade before me.
If this is a dog biscuit, my dog is sniffing around looking for that biscuit because it's not very big.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think I know what grade you're going to give it, and I think I know what grade I think you know what grade I'm going to give it.
Yeah, I mean, zero effect. It's an F. Falls flat. That's all I can say. Again, nothing against the club. I love the club, but I don't think this is going to make any difference in anyone's game.
I completely agree. Even if they were to bump it up 13, which would make a level 7 have 100 accuracy, the fact that I'd have a 2.5 ball guide would still keep it out of my bag. And 13 more accuracy would also just bump it up to 33 accuracy.
Well, what they should have done was, what they should have done, my opinion is, instead of +5 accuracy, it should have been +0.5 on ball guide. That would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because, 5 accuracy really is nothing. Kind of like 5 backspin. If you have 60 for backspin or 65, are you going to pick one club over the other? Like with the other attributes? Or
they could have changed it to 100 accuracy and it wouldn't have made any difference, because if you only have a 1.0 ball guide, so what if you hit it perfect? You didn't aim it right. So
yeah, right, exactly. It's kind of like your rough iron down in 1, which I'm surprised didn't get anything done to it. Kind of a niche club there. You want to talk about it? Well, we are moving on to the final clubs that we have not yet covered, and that is the sand wedges. I'm about to click on it here. And we are starting out with the Houdini, which actually you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 or 6. You get the Houdini. The Houdini is the Houdini. Is it epic or is it rare? Something's telling me it might be rare.
I'd like to say it's rare because I did max mine out.
Okay.
And I'll tell you now that as a maxed out club, it's awesome except for power. and they added 10 accuracy, which between 69 and 79, if you hit great, you're not in the hole. Either way, so I don't think that this change has any effect on it. I think the if you wanted to make it a more usable club, you should have added power. But it's definitely on short holes because of the backspin. Definitely an awesome club to bring to the short holes where you might get stuck in the sand.
Okay, yeah.
But not your long ones.
And see, backspin was never really a big deal for me on any type of wedge because, again, you can hit it 1 inch or you can hit it, full distance. You got such an area there. So if you're worried that, I mean, I guess backspin might be nice if you hit it deep in the rough and you got to hit it in the air a decent amount of sand.
Yeah, just know we're talking about sand and postage stamp greens. Usually there's a huge elevation difference for the Houdini to be the proper club.
Okay. Yeah, I with just 10 accuracy on the Houdini and, being in the same category as a Malibu, which is both a common club and it's a level 3, or I'm sorry, tournament level 3. I don't think this is going to change in terms of like they have the charts here of usage. I don't see the Houdini really getting a bump from this. It may be like the first month or two of people just, trying out the new club, but I don't think this really helps it. What do you think?
No, I don't think it has any effect on it at all just by adding 10 accuracy. Power would have been the way to go. And, if it had as much power as the Malibu, with that 100% backspin, a lot of people would change to it.
Yeah, and a 4.6 ball guide too,
yeah. Nobody likes getting stuck in a bunker in the middle of the fairway and not being able to reach into. So they're not going to switch from the Malibu or the what's the one that looks like a plane? Spitfire.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
It doesn't replace anything in the bag.
4.6 ball guide, is that the longest ball guide in the game? I kind of think it is. I thought 4.5
yes, I believe,
was.
Yeah, 4.6 is the best ball guide for any club, and the Houdini 8 has it. But unfortunately, it's not an accurate club. So if you hit great, you're not in the hole.
No, I wonder if they're banking on that, though. I wonder if they're like, look, we gave you a 4.6 ball guide. We're giving you nearly 80 accuracy. Come on, use me. I don't know. That's just something that I'm thinking about.
The problem is when you're using the Houdini, that arrow is flying back and forth. The chances of you hitting perfect are it doesn't happen very often. 10% of the time, maybe.
So what are we giving this for a grade?
I have to give it an F because it's not going to change anything about it. I already think it's a great club in a very specific situation, but it's not going to make me change anything else.
All right. Well, we do love you, Playdemic. We play your game on a daily basis, getting yelled at by the wives, doing, we absolutely love you. But I got to agree, and it, this might have been done purposely. Maybe if you do the wrong kind of upgrades to clubs, you could totally ruin the game because everyone's, getting albatrosses and hole-in-ones. But I am not. This doesn't affect me one way or the other. I am not going to replace my Malibu with the Houdini, especially being that it is a rare or epic club. I think it's rare, and I get, the Malibu is a common one. So moving along. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, just to be fair to Playdemic, we're not grading Playdemic. We're grading whether or not we're going to change the way we play based on these changes.
Completely agree. And yeah, I don't want anyone thinking we're slamming Playdemic. We absolutely love Playdemic when it comes to, the game that they've created. We've both been playing it for multiple years. Just because we keep giving out these low grades, I want to make, I don't want to sound like a hater. I am not a hater. I am a lover. And they can tell by how much I log into the game and how much you log into the game, Playdemic that is.
Yeah.
But now we go to an epic club that unlocks in Tour 1, if you're lucky, the Castaway, which is gaining 20 accuracy, 20 backspin, and 0.5 ball guide. I know that I used the Desert Storm until I got the Malibu, because, I
Right.
mean, you just really don't unlock epics super fast. But where are you
Right.
at with this?
I mean, I love the fact that they added the ball guide. That's a game changer between 1.5 and 2. And again, this is a club you play because you're stuck with it until you can get the Malibu. So anything they can do to help these lower level clubs before the Malibu is always going to be a positive, because that'll mean more shots into the hole. And again, ball guide 2.0 is the lowest that you can get, where you can actually aim at the hole for it to bounce twice. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a score of a B, because it's not going to change anything necessarily until it may change that I keep the Castaway, but nothing's going to change for when I get the Malibu. I'm going to switch to the Malibu and stay there.
Yeah, I completely agree 100%. I think that, they are trying to make an irrelevant club relevant, and that's very obvious by how much accuracy and backspin and ball guide they give. Both of them, or all three of them, are quite a bit, but, I got to say, it's not enough. The Malibu is common, and I could guarantee you, and I can't guarantee you, but I could pretty much guarantee you that if Playdemic were to change, like if they could go back in time, and make the Malibu, or make these clubs that are used the most, all epics, and the clubs that aren't used more commons,
Right.
they would be used a
Right.
lot more. And I feel if the Castaway was a common card, it would be something that might stay in your bag. Especially if the Malibu was made an epic, you would definitely keep it a lot longer. But being that it checks both boxes for me. I get it early, meaning the Malibu, and it's also a common club, so it'll be maxed out. I'm not going to use the Castaway even with these awesome upgrades.
So you're saying that the Castaway has the perfect name.
I am. Cast it away, Playdemic. Cast it away into common land. What grade would you give it?
Didn't I say I was going to give it a C, just because they did something
Oh,
to make my
okay.
life a little bit easier until I get the Malibu?
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's very many good choices. I'm not a fan of the Desert Storm, but then right after the Desert Storm is the Malibu. I feel like maybe the Malibu should be unlocked in Tour 7 and be at least a rare club, or it should be even harder to get than that. But we finally made it to the last club, which is the Sahara. It's funny because me and James were talking about making a 10 to 20 minute video, and we're coming up on 1 hour and 20 minutes. So let's see
Yes.
where we're going to be here. I still think it was a great conversation. The Castaway is 1, the Desert Storm is 2, Malibu 3. So in Tour 4, we unlock the Sahara, and the Sahara gains 40. You heard me right, 40 top spin. And, it has 60 at max, which means it will eventually have 100 top spin. Is this something that you'd be thinking about using in Tour 5, or maybe even, when you got all your clubs maxed out?
Okay, because I get the Malibu in Tour 3 or 4, and usually early on, and then get rid of, cast away everything else. All I can say about that is, what's the Sahara? Is that like a club in this game? Because I've never used it, and I never will use it.
Yeah, it's properly named. It's a beach without water, and most people that go to the beach go to take a dip in the water, and then to make matters worse, if you look at the club, there's a scorpion on it, which you generally like to stay away from. And
Yes.
it's got a great ball guide. It's got 100 curls, 77 backspin, 60 top spin, 120 power. Actually, it'd be about 100 top spin, but the 57 accuracy compared to what you get with the Malibu, with everything else.
Yeah, I think the Malibu only gets 100 accuracy, so they're pretty close. As
Only,
in
yeah,
not.
right, yeah, exactly. Especially, yeah, you don't want to hit great or whatnot. A lot of times you need those saves. The Sahara, once again, is just an unfortunate you know, it's unfortunate that it's epic, and it's unfortunate that you get it after the Malibu. I don't think the Sahara will ever sniff one of my bags.
Yeah, I don't get it because by the time you have the Malibu 8, you have the Sahara 2, and that's only because you don't get to decide which cards you get.
Exactly. So, to wrap things up, what kind of grade are we giving the Sahara? I mean, 40 top spin is quite a lot, but is it enough to
I'm going to
go
say this one I'm going to give a special score of G, as in worse than F.
worse than F? I am actually going to give it a D, and the reason why is because after looking at it, 120 power, it has every stat that looks beautiful except for accuracy. And if Playdemic would have went with 40 accuracy instead of the 40 top spin, I don't know if much would change.
I was going to say I'd have to contradict you if you'd say that that would change your mind because
No,
that
yeah, I
would
just
still
thought
make it not less than the Malibu.
which you get is a common one and tier 3. I think the fact that it unlocks later and that it's an epic just keeps it out. Um, it's a great upgrade, but it's just not a salvageable card. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stick with my D. I'm going to go with an F. And I didn't count up or keep track of all our grades or anything. I don't know if anyone at home did. I
Nah,
just yeah,
we're going to throw the scorecard away afterwards.
right. However, we never know what upgrades, what type of courses, what type of things Playdemic has planned. So maybe in the future, you know, the Sahara will be the club to go towards, or the Hammerhead will be the club that you want to use. But in today's game, judging by what we have, I know it was a very harsh video, but I just really feel like, I mean, let's scroll back up to the top really quick before we
Yeah,
end
I
it
mean,
and look at
yeah,
just the clubs.
I'd like to just comment on. I love what they did to the Horizon, and I love what they did to the Grim Reaper, and I love what they did to the Firefly. So anything else that they want to do in the future, like what they did to those clubs, call me. I'll tell you what should be done.
So you like what they did with the Horizon, despite the fact they didn't give it any backspin.
Well, the fact that they improved it at all.
Ah, gotcha,
Uh,
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah, did they do it the way I wanted? Well, no one calls me to ask my opinion.
Right. So you are generally a streamer. You also do make videos. I've seen you make rookie guides lately.
Yes.
Is that going to be a new weekly thing for your channel? Is that something you're going to continue?
Yes, I'm gonna try to continue with my rookie guides, and funnily enough, you will see a Horizon 2 played in rookie as opposed to playing with the big dog because of ball guide, and they improved the ball guide even further.
Yes, I
And
remember seeing that.
I may get around to some pro guides with level 6 clubs, but that really depends on the time. If I have it, I will. If I don't, I won't.
Okay, well, that he streams as well, and he's normally a late night streamer. So those of you on the West Coast should definitely be watching him for sure. Those of you on the East Coast should be as well, but maybe you're just kind of sneaking it with a low volume while your wife is snoring next to you.
Yeah, and people in Europe and Australia, you can watch me tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Or yesterday.
And James is different than every other streamer out there because he creates these awesome skits. I honestly would compare him to I don't know if people remember the Tracy Ullman show, but that's where the Simpsons actually came from, and he has that in with the Golf Clash. So you're not bored just sitting there listening to numbers and statistics. It makes it really fun. It makes the streams really fun. I highly suggest you check out his channel. He was one of the first people I subscribed to. I'm a big fan. I want to thank you very much for coming in and talking with us about all these clubs. I think your input was absolutely spot on. I know it's a longer video, but it's not so much just a training video. It was just like a good conversation about our favorite game. And I hope that the
Yes.
people listening also view it the same way. Because, yeah, we definitely missed the 20-minute mark. That is my fault, though.
Yeah.
If we go back,
Time flies when you're having fun, man.
it really does, and I definitely don't want to redo this. I just think I feel like there was a good chemistry here. I feel like we gave each club its just due. I would love if you guys would tell us in the chat where we were wrong, where we were right, or if you agree with us 100% or disagree with us 100%. Before I wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to say, bro?
Nope. You have a wonderful evening, and let's get this thing out there for the people.
All right. I'm going to work on doing that tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to Fun and James. His link will be in the description below, and same with my channel. Take care.